Hi friends and new friends, I'm Tao of Satoshi, and you're watching Cash Alternative TV. Before I get started with today's episode, I'd like to give a big thank you to the masternode owners who supported me on the upgrade of Dash Nation Slack. I'm happy that you view it as I do, as an important communication and collaboration hub for the Dash network. And having unlimited messaging and more integrations and more file space can only bring Dash Nation Slack up to the par that people expect with the Dash network itself. So thanks again for giving me the support that I need to pull that off. It's very much appreciated. Thank you. Now, as for today's episode, I recently had the pleasure of interviewing the founders of Eralith Studios. Now, they're the creators of Project Airplane. I don't know if you've seen that commercial yet or not, but if you haven't, here it is in its entirety.
Waiting for your digital currency transactions to be confirmed is a drag. For lightning fast digital currency transactions, you need Dash. Go to dash.org for more information.
So the creators of Eralith Studios are Pieter, Louw, and Plessis. And I had a pleasure of sitting down for a chat with them, and they explained everything about what went into Project Jetplane and their plans for the future as well. So I hope you enjoy the interview. Welcome to Cash Alternative TV. I'm Tao of Satoshi, and today I have with me the crew from Eralith. They're Dash Nation members that have contributed to graphics for Dash, and they're here to talk to me today. Welcome to the show, Thomas and Pieter.
Hi.
Hey. It's great to be here.
We're happy to talk to you finally.
All right, so for the people that might not be familiar with you guys, you've been around for a while. Why don't you each give us an introduction of yourself and how you came into cryptocurrency? I'll start with Pieter.
So I've actually, kind of had an ad hoc, experience and knowledge about cryptocurrency, but I never got into it. I was thinking about doing mining myself back when I was in college, and but I was afraid of toasting my computer, so I kind of put that to the back of my mind. But then I recently had a family member who got really into it, and this family member approached me and said, this person was really getting into looking into the structure of the DAO and everything, and he said to me, look, you do animation, these guys, they actually are using crypto to fund their marketing pitches. You need to pitch something to these people. And so Thomas and I
was sitting in the room with him when this happened.
So that, and then we were like, okay, let's put our heads together and let's put something together so we can show these people what we're capable of. And that is basically how our more recent, our involvement really went up from there with cryptocurrency, and we became invested really quickly.
Did you go into Bitcoin first, or did you just discover Dash right off the get-go?
Well, I actually wanted to get started in Dogecoin because I'm really into memes. So I actually set up my Radeon cards to start mining Dogecoin. It didn't pan out. I was using so much power. So I just put crypto to the back of my mind until this family member engaged me again. And then I was like, okay, it's time to get serious. It's time to start a business,
Okay. So sounds good. You guys are in the graphics industry and you're based out of Cape Town, is that correct?
Yeah,
that's right. Yes.
In South Africa, correct?
That's
yes.
Right. Yes. The industry in Cape Town is quite a unique one, actually. The industry, the way it kind of started specifically with 3D was films were being shot in Cape Town more and more because the licenses for that were incredibly cheap. The cost for general labor was very cheap here for movies like, you may have heard of
The Safe House.
Safe House. There we go.
Resident
Evil. Mad Max had some. Not. I think they did most of their shooting up in Namibia, but they had a lot of the crews came from Cape Town.
Homeland was shot here. They shot a season of Homeland here as well.
You may have heard of the show Black Sails.
Yes, Black Sails. Their entire set is down here.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of the film industry active here, and so naturally this caused kind of a vacuum, right? Of their effects specialists would be back in the States, and it costs a lot of money to get that do the shooting here and then outsource it back to the States. So they would start using locals, and locals saw this and they started picking it up. And eventually, it got so big that we now have 2 major studios, 3D studios, and like tons of independent production houses for commercial specifically. So the industry is absolutely exploding right now.
We also have a bunch of, like, when it comes to just a cross-pollination within the animation industry, it's not just films. We have games, we have virtual reality, we have app development. There's an incredible amount of cross-pollination, and the local industry is so tight-knit. We're a city of 4 million people, but like if you go on Facebook and you go to these gatherings and these conventions, you shake hands, you see the same faces everywhere. So it's like really great.
Yeah, it's great.
In your travels of creating things for Dash, did you see what kind of response that cryptocurrency is getting in South Africa at the moment?
It's actually surprisingly positive. I've got a bunch of uncles, and out of all my uncles, at least 3 of them individually approached me, asking me if I could give them more information around Dash when they heard that I was in the cryptocurrency. And they're all into cryptocurrency, and they all individually found out about it. When we looked into it, we found that a lot of families are now, or at least the financial head of the family is starting to dive into cryptocurrencies because it's an incredibly, let's call it profitable investment. As well as just purchasing. A lot of our local online stores accept Bitcoin.
Yes, through their middleware providers. There are middleware providers for online shopping that now accept Bitcoin, and it's it just popped up, and it's amazing.
It's growing really quick. So.
And it's really crypto in general is also getting on the radar. If you listen to radio and you're reading the paper here, you'll see that people are talking and people are giving interviews. So we're really trying to also just spread the word of Dash on a local level.
Bitcoin is probably the biggest one right now locally, but altcoins, a lot of altcoins are trying to pop up around. Yeah.
To me, when I'm speaking about Dash, as I don't consider Dash to be an altcoin, but I know technically it's considered an altcoin. But I think Dash is definitely going to make some hay in the future. It's going to give the big boys a run for their money. And it's good that you guys are coming on here today because you're a big part of Dash Nation. You're doing your part to help promote Dash through your graphics and stuff. So that's great. Why don't you give us a little bit of background on your experience in the design industry?
Okay. Yeah. So I graduated from the animation school. That's actually what it's called. It's the animation school, not a animation school in Cape Town. I graduated in 2013 after completing my thesis short film, and I kind of did a few internships, and then I landed in the advertising industry, and I worked in the advertising industry for around 3 years now. It's almost coming up on 4 now, and like this production company I was with, we get projects from places like Ogilvy and Mather, which is like a big international company. We also insourced a lot of international clients.
So how did you guys form your company, and when did you form it?
We're very new still.
I think we officially if you go to our registration document, our business was incorporated on the 24th of June, I believe, officially.
Right.
But as he said, we've been producing since April.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And so far you've been dedicating a lot of time to Dash, which is good. You've had firsthand experience with Dash's governance system, and you had a project approved. What did you consider of that experience? What did you think about it?
Oh, the stress. Yeah, the stress of having a proposal run through the what's called decentralized.
Yeah.
It's incredibly stressful, but honestly, it's truly a trial of fire,
Yeah.
right? Because if you don't have the confidence to propose, then you're not willing to take the risk. And in our industry, or industry, I should say, in cryptocurrency in general, risk taking, is a big thing. So we did take the risk, and we're very, very happy and thankful that we came out like on top. And we're happy to hear that people liked our first product, our first production, which was the Dash falling on the Bitcoin, little 5 second
instant private cash.
Right, yeah. So that was our first little project there, and people liked it. So we decided, well, if people liked it, we think we can do much better than that. And now that's where our second project comes into, Project Jet Plane.
So your first Dash commercial, why is it that you targeted Dash users? I mean, Bitcoin users. Why did you target them?
So when it came to deciding on a format for our first ad, we said, okay, we're gonna create this ad, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it in the time that we have, and we're gonna make sure that it's succinct and readable for everyone. And so when we knew we were going to do something for YouTube, and we were also aware that YouTube has the golden 5 second rule, which is ads are skippable after 5 seconds, and you also get like a really good deal on your on the costs of your clicks, and also like if you can get engagement in the first 5 seconds, that's really going to help out. So we were like, okay, we want this message, we want it to be like readable, punchy, and then we said, okay, let's just clearly explain, this is Bitcoin, Dash is superior, it's instant, it's private, it's cash. 5 seconds, bam. So that was kind of, we just knew,
Okay, so you guys have any statistics of users for your first interview? I mean, your first commercial, sorry.
Yes. Let me actually just pull them up. So, so the statistics we have right now, so as of let me actually see, I think as of today, our first commercial, the first production we did, has 109,000 views. Now, just to be clear, it's a little bit confusing with YouTube. Views are when the ad was not skipped. Now, this is important because, as we explained a moment ago, we have designed the ad to pretty much all the information takes place in the first 5 seconds. Now, the first 5 seconds being viewed is what you call impressions. Whether they finished watching it or whether they skipped it, it's all counted together, and those are called impressions. And for that, we have 558,000 impressions. That is 558,000 views.
Unique views.
Unique views, right? So so that means 110,000 of those people finished watching it, means that they saw the little message near the end, but the majority of the message came through in the first 5 seconds.
And then we had set up a landing page to the Dash website. So we have the click-through rates for that. The click-through rate was, the interaction rate was 16.43%. We got 1,294 clicks. The cost per click is also great. It's $2.5 per click, which is like well under the average cost.
Right, and that's the other reason we also we decided to advertise on YouTube specifically, just because we knew that we would reach an international audience. No channel could really give you that efficient price and that like broad audience, right? Or at least that wide audience. The cost so far, so everything that we paid so far, specifically for our first commercial,
everything we're paying to YouTube.
Yeah, that we pay to YouTube, excuse me, for that has been incredibly efficient. It's $3,265. Now, that is nothing compared to if I wanted to air this on a cable network, that it would be ridiculously high, right? So we were very happy with that price.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
So before the broadcast, you guys were telling me about the phrase "how to Bitcoin," and that you said that phrase was becoming very popular. Can you expand a little bit more on that?
So the way advertising on YouTube works is you can decide to use key phrases to draw people in, or to target audiences. So, for example, our commercial would only play on people. Would only be showed to people who typed in specific words in their search bar, and those words range quite a bit. So, for example, the keywords and phrases that we use are how to Bitcoin, Bitcoin tutorial, Satoshi, Bitcoin Cash, internet money, Bitcoin fork, Bitcoin explain, all these like different phrases and words. So if anyone types that in, they are very likely to see our ad. And interestingly, this is very interesting, we found that out of the we said it earlier, the 558,000 interactions, impressions, we had 400,000 of those were uniquely how to Bitcoin. It's a giant percentage on this strange like phrase that it's really strange, like how that phrase caught such a large majority. So it's not even we were saying it's not even a grammatically correct phrase.
I mean, we knew that we would be when we talked about what phrases to use, we knew that we would be targeting people who would, for example, be how to buy Bitcoin, how to mine Bitcoin. And yeah, so that's kind of, and YouTube's algorithm is really smart about one thing, and that's getting people to watch your ads. So yeah, it's really
exactly
great.
Okay, so that was your first project, and now you have a new one that you guys are almost completed. And I guess we're going to release this interview, so when the viewers are watching, they're going to be able to get the rundown of how you created this video, which looks to be pretty cool from what I've seen so far. So what were the creative processes that you put into this video?
So after we released our first ad, the instant private cash ad, we put a vote out to the community. We created 2 different scripts and we storyboarded them out into very simple little videos. Very basic black and white, videos that would kind of show the general flow. And then one of them was a more traditional infographic, and the other was more of a story-based one. And the story-based proposal won out. It's called Project Jet Plane, and we really want. One of our goals was to really strengthen we get like on the DAO, a lot of the proposals are analog campaigns, things like billboards, the sports events, concerts, air shows. And we decided to try and bolster one of the much stronger proposals, which was the Dash Aero Sports proposal. We were in interaction with that particular user, Scott Farnsworth, and like he said, okay, cool, let's get this going. And so we created a kind of, it's like a universal concept, but we also wanted it to tie in with what Dash was doing with Dash Aero Sports.
And it also nicely, or at least in terms of our creative decision, we decided a jet plane speeding, it's not moving, symbolizes Bitcoin just stuck. It takes like a day to get your money, whereas with the jet plane, instant, quick, skips all the traffic, gets to the destination very quickly. So we thought overall it was, and also, I mean, obviously the community voted on it. So those are the major decisions. And then in terms of the actual pipeline, do you want to talk through that?
So and so after that point, what happened is that once we had secured funding, we immediately put out a call to hire freelancers from the local industry. And so then we got started with developing assets, environments, and those things. And we we kept updating, we continually updated as we released concept art, we kept updating it on the forums and on the Dash central proposal page. So we wanted to keep people involved as much as possible.
Right.
And then like we finished all our pitch material, all our concept art, and then we got into 3D.
We really want to take advantage of the fact that we are in such a talented area, right? So much talent in Cape Town. And realistically, a project of this magnitude, there's no way two guys, like I'm busy finishing college, right? Amongst all this work. So there's absolutely no way that realistically two guys would finish this. That's why we decided to join this industry, this really talented industry. And then unfortunately, and this is the second point actually, we hit a bit of a delay. I think it was leading up to the Bitcoin fork.
Yes, it was around the 14th, like just around the midpoint, and the fork was coming up, and then the price of Dash went down to $140 the index. And at that point, we were getting back to some people about, are we going to have you for the entirety of August? Or like are we going to be able to renew you for this period leading up to the end of July, August? And we unfortunately had to turn some people away so that we could wait for the results of the fork.
Yeah, because we can't, the big risk, the very big risk is if we tell our freelancers that, look, don't worry, Dash will improve, and it may not improve. And then we have these freelancers not trusting us, and the whole industry looks at us as a team and says, oh, we don't know. They don't always pay. They sometimes pay based on their little coin that they're running, right, or that they're marketing. We didn't want to risk that. We don't want to have people have negative connotations with Dash. So we decided best thing to do is just put the project, or at least in regards to the freelancers, put the project on hold. Pieter and I were still doing some work in that period of time, just hoping for Dash to recover, and it did. I mean, we spoke earlier, Dash has just been mooning today and this week, right? So it's been,
we couldn't have asked for a better, like we love it. Like we were optimistic that it was going to pick up, but like after the fork, we had no idea.
Yeah, it's very much an integrity situation. We can't risk freelancers and the community, the Cape Town community, not trusting us. And we thought it would be the wise thing to do is just to put the project on hold, so to speak. And that's why we ran a little bit over time.
Okay, so it's we're kind of trailblazers in that industry because we're working with one currency but our costs are in another currency. So when ours goes up and down, we kind of have to juggle it a little bit. Like it's great when it's going up, but there are times where it goes down. So and then we have to say, okay, where's our money going to come from? But we know, I think we all know we wouldn't be here if we didn't think that Dash had a good future and it was going to go up overall. So I'm glad to hear that happened for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And we're so excited because it opens up so many more opportunities. Just being able to run a business and have a back end in crypto, it just opens up so many more opportunities for international work and collaboration and that kind of thing.
Okay. So why don't you run through the video that we're seeing and kind of describe to us what's happening and the creative processes that went behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we'll just do is we'll just run through the steps we're taking and where we are roughly right about now in the production. So when this airs, it's out. The commercial has been aired already. But at the time of the interview, we're just finishing up some of the compositions, the compositing, and we are finishing up rendering.
So we're basically at this point, what's happening is
we're
basically on the
finishing up.
We're finishing up.
Yeah. So we decided to open up the commercial with a traffic light hanging there, and in where the lights would be, so you have green at the bottom. Is it always at the bottom?
Yeah.
Does that change depending on the country? I'm not really sure.
I'm in Canada, and it's at the bottom. Yeah.
Right. So for us, it's also at the bottom. Sorry, he was in charge of the art direction, so he was the one getting that out. So you have the 3 lights there, but then it's stuck on the red, and on the lights you have the Bitcoin logo, right? So it's showing basically Bitcoin is not moving. And then in the next shot we have cars in traffic. These cars are all cars made by the Bitcoin brand, so to speak. So it's the Bitcoin cars, and they're all sitting there. And we called our little character that we go into. We have a close-up of our character sitting in the car, and we called him Normie. So he's although technically Bitcoin users aren't normies, but you know the joke around that, right? So we decided to make him. He's exhausted. He doesn't want to be in this car anymore. He's stuck in traffic, and then suddenly the car starts shaking. The little Doge bobblehead on his dashboard starts shaking. His little air freshener.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. I like that.
starts shaking, and then we see in his rearview mirror there's something approaching, and then we cut to a shot of the dash plane, the jet plane, flying over the Bitcoin traffic, and in the next shot we see the dash plane shoot up and fly over the city, and then we see the city from the top down. Excuse me. We see the city from top down, and it's gridlocked. You see all these red lights. Nobody's moving. The Bitcoin city is not moving. It's not going anywhere. It's stuck. And so that's obviously a little bit of a jab at the Bitcoin lagging issue, where it would take up to a day sometimes for a transaction to clear. So it's a little bit frustrating. Where our message is the jet plane is quick and it gets to its destination. And then in the next shot, we have the Dash pilot sitting there in the
cockpit.
Right, in the cockpit of the plane, and it's the same plane that Scott Farnsworth his team is flying at the Aerosports. It's the same model we went with. Anyway, and then we see a little Dash pilot. He's enjoying it. He's doing his flight. He's having a blast. And we say Dash is fun. It is not this long, like it's quick, gets to the point. You want to send your money, it's sent immediately. No issues. It's private. It's yours. It belongs to you. Nobody needs to know. And then finally, we see the Dash plane break through the clouds, flip the wings, and it says Dash on the wings. So that's the summary of the shot.
Sounds good. It looks good from where I'm sitting, and I hope that it turns out the viewers like it as well. That's something that you mentioned about Dash being fun. It's true. Like when I talk to people on the Slack and I talk to people on Reddit, everybody seems to be in a good mood. Everybody having fun. There's not very many.
Absolutely.
If we have disagreements, we talk them out, but then we move on. It's not like Bitcoin where they're constantly at each other's throats. There's a lot of negativity in that space. And I think that's one of the reasons why Dash is going to come out on top, because we have that attitude that people want to be a part of. We have that people want to have fun. People want to be part of something positive. So I think that's going to bring people together. The other thing I want to say, that's moving on from this interview, is that we're competing against Bitcoin right now. But I think we all know that in the future, it's actually fiat money that's going to be our competition. And I think that kind of ties into your next project that you guys have on the burner. Why don't you explain that to our viewers?
Yeah.
So this is an exclusive first look like a little look into our next project. So it's called Borderless Love. And moving on from Bitcoin, we are going to be focusing on how Dash is going to completely beat out fiat money, how it's going to beat out the big guys, West Bank and all those people, because we're going to be focusing on the remittance market, which is an absolutely giant market, and it also ties in a little bit to a previous point on our analytics. So just to get back to what we learned from our first ad, is that Over 30% of our engagements have come from India. And then we also, the US is about 14% of our engagements came from the US. And just under the US, we have Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia. But India is by far the biggest, our biggest audience. So yes, that's India 32%, the United States 14%, the Philippines 6%, Malaysia, and then Indonesia around 3%. So it's not just what's going on in India at the moment with them outlawing larger cash denominations and all these kinds of things. There's also a massive remittance market where people who are working abroad want to send money home to their families, or people who are studying want to receive money from their parents. And we're going to be targeting that market specifically in these developing countries. So yeah, that's the basic gist of it. It's called Project Border Free Love, and Borderless Love. And yeah, that's going to be our focus. We're going to be focusing on families sending money to each other in a safe and private way.
When we think of cryptocurrencies, we often think of banks. The issue with banks, like nobody likes the bureaucracy of standing in a bank line or waiting 4 days for money to clear because you sent it, because it's been 2 different banks or something, or it's money from overseas or something like that. Or actually it is, that's the topic of this, right? So the point that something that's overlooked often is the remittance industry. So just on that, it's a more immediate, I think, solution to us, because you know, with banks at the moment, there are still these instant send solutions that some banks have, which I think it will take a while for most cryptocurrencies to be a serious threat to banks. On the other hand, the remittance industry is something we can immediately tackle. It is something we can immediately you know, single out as a problem. Just on the remittance industry, in 2014, it was a $583 billion industry. So just let that sink in. That is simply people sending money overseas.
Yeah, to their families.
$583 billion because people wanted to send money to loved ones.
And the percentages here also correspond with what we're seeing in terms of our audiences. So India accounts for $70 billion of that figure. So $70 billion of 583 billion is from India. China also sees a similar number, but unfortunately we can't broadcast to Chinese audiences because YouTube is blocked in China. But then also Philippines, and then also France and Mexico.
All the runner-ups there.
Latin America is also on our radar for localization. We're going to be localizing all our future ads in Spanish and Hindi. Something to note also is that another figure that we dug up when we were doing our research and why these numbers were coming in from India was that we found out that India also has one of the largest unbanked populations in the world. It's over, they have a population of what, 1.6 billion people, I think.
I think it's more than that at this point.
More than that at this point, but like the percentage, I would actually have to pull that up, but it's in the hundreds of millions of people that do not have bank accounts. And potentially there's a huge audience to be there because everybody has a phone. Everybody has a phone now.
Yeah.
And the point that I wanted to mention that I forgot was that our release window, we're going to be giving ourselves a little bit more time to finish R&D, and also we want to get some people in permanently on at least a semi-permanent contract basis, so we don't have to like give people away if we can't use them for a week. So our release window also coincides with the proposed release window for Evolution. I think it was delayed until January at this point where it stands. So we want to run this production until the new year.
Right.
So that'll give us enough time and also like ensure like the best quality.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned, you know, like I think the banks have an advantage when it comes to UI and user experience right now. But Dash and cryptocurrencies have it all when it comes to the back end, the actual functionality of it. Like we don't have to go to a store and wait there. We don't have to pay high fees, you know, so it's simply a matter of tying in the UI with the back end and then getting it out there to the people. So we have the people that are working on the back end, we have the people that are working on the UI, and we have people like you and I that are going to get it out there, you know? So we all have to work together as a team. And I like what you said too about the borderless love, because that's what I envision for Dash Nation also, like a borderless nation. It's the first nation that pretty much will encompass the entire world. And that's my vision. And I'm glad to see you guys are also thinking in those terms as well.
We absolutely are, and we're incredibly thankful that we, for example, we've been in communications, like we've said multiple times, with Scott Farnsworth. We've now met up with you, and it's great to see that we all agree on this direction. That is Dash. We all want to see it grow. There's no need for this competition that we see in other industries, you know, this competition to push for commercial spots.
It also helps that we have the superior technology. Like just watching what's happening with the fork and everything, it's kind of, you know, with SegWit and everything, it's like, guys, we have instant and private send, you know. It's like we're just, you know, biding our time, you know, and we're going to come out in a huge way.
Good point to leave on. So I thank you guys for joining me on the show, and I wish you the best of luck with your project and everything that you guys decide to do in the future.
Okay, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Cheers.
Bye now. Well, that was my interview with Tom and Pieter. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish Eralith Studios the best of luck in any endeavors they partake in, inside or outside the Dash network in the future. That's all for me today. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me in Cash Alternative TV episodes. Remember, Dash is a digital alternative to cash, and really, it's becoming more so every day. Bye for now.